Time is a fickle thing. Take that from a guy who was supposed to have this video up 3 weeks ago and has already attempted this recording a couple of times and failed miserably. Playing around with timelines can get confusing, tedious, and sometimes reminds you of things that are better to look back on than forward to. Crash 4 is a wonderfully charming title that is held back just a little too much by its predecessors. If you want exactly what you were looking for and failed to receive in Crash Wrath of Cortex, then this will be perfect for you. Unfortunately, we've moved on since then, and this has left great but not excellent. But yeah, failing to meet excellence is still pretty damn good. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, takes place after the third one, Warped, and sort of just ignores the other fourth game. It shows Neo Cortex daydreaming about a possible win as Ntropy and Uka Uka try to get out of the prison they're trapped in. Ever the pragmatist, Uka actually succeeds by ripping a hole in the space-time continuum, or something to this effect. You see Crash in all his HD glory, snoozing on a couch before Aku Aku wakes him and warns of his impending doom. Oh, happy October, spooky something something. Let's talk about the gameplay, huh? Crash 4 feels great. Its jumps, attacks, slides, and other moves we'll talk about later on just feel phenomenal. This is how I remember old Crash games feeling, although I can't imagine they really felt this good. Crash's arcadey ways return in full force to give an experience we rarely see anymore. The times of old platformers are sort of gone. As they went more into the 3D realm, they left behind some of the more archaic designs of their forefathers. Crash sometimes doesn't, for better or for worse. Usually both. Level design this time around is, once again, smart, full, and will actively reshape the way you see paths you've just taken. Most levels tend to wrap around in interesting ways to give just a little more clarity on the area around you. This is at its best when it obscures your view through its platforming, then shows the place you were jumping through earlier on. The entirety of Crash could be explained through this sentence. You make your way through it with limited information, then loop back around to find out there was a little more to the story than you otherwise thought. It does this through its expression of characters and multiple dimensions. Going briefly back to the story, yeah, I can dabble in alinearity too. You team up with multiple characters, returning bad guys turned good guys, and good guys turned bad guys to stop the general death and rebirth of the world, or something sciencey the game doesn't really care to explain. Crash 4 gives you a bunch of abilities and characters to mess around with, and if you don't want spoilers on what some of them do, I'd skip to about here, whatever I annotate here, I'm not entirely sure. You gone? Well, I mean, if you had gone, you wouldn't know that I just said that. Anyway, so first, you have Crash, the dude I've been talking about for the last few minutes. He has all the moves you expect him to, but he also teams up with the quantum masks, sentient masks that gives you mind-bending powers, or well, cool powers, I guess. Not really mind-bending, that's more of a marketing thing. I don't know where I've got that phrase from. One slows down time, which allows you to move across hazardous gaps, avoid projectiles, and even walk on the green nitro boxes. A joy I didn't know I'd get to one day experience. Another mask flips gravity, meaning you walk upside down or use that kind of in-between space to float through sections. This is by far the most skill-based of the three and is the only one that is an active sign of a possible hindrance. Whilst the other two might help you in paths that don't actually require it, this does not. The final mask is a spin ability that sort of grabs Crash's standard attack and cranks it up into Beyblade form. You can use it to smash through particularly strong boxes that otherwise require a ground pound, or to close huge gaps by floating harmlessly across. This is a slight bit finicky and the most imprecise feeling of the three, not made easier by the third dimension in which Crash is set. Sorry, I'm back. As well as these masks, you can take control of Neo Cortex, who is less floaty and agile, equipped with a gun that freezes enemies, but can also turn them into bounce pads to get across areas. He is a nice addition and fun to see again after so many years. Moving from here, you can play as Coco, who is very similar to Crash, both aesthetically speaking and in the gameplay. All of Crash's missions can be played as her and vice versa. Dingodile can also be played as this time around and offers a much tankier experience, not the political alignment, the RPG thing. It doesn't really matter. Dingo can use his gun to suck items, boxes, and even TNT, which can be fired right back at its source. He also has a rather strange double jump that uses his gun to glide and propel upwards for a standard double jump. Think the normal jump with a weird hovering preamble. The last character is a beefier, punky, blue streak-haired Tawner, out to occasionally save you and maybe be a pirate, I think. She is a cool grapple hook and gives a certain depth to most levels in a really fun way. When it comes down to levels in Crash 4, there are a ton, probably enough to keep you satisfied for the 13-year wait till the next game. You can play the base levels as Crash or Coco, and they offer alternate timelines to play as with the other characters. You can also unlock secret tapes for special extra missions, and there are side objectives and levels where you hop onto a platform and have a level within the level. Yeah, I've said level a lot here, but there are a lot of levels, and even more levels. There are so many positives to Crash 4, and I hope I've reflected that, but I think its very game design is what will bring it down for me, from Game of the Year material to maybe Game of the Month material. It feels a little caught up in being Crash, a slight bit unwilling to drop out of its formula. Whilst the game, graphics, music, and basically everything have come forward in time, the general gameplay has stayed back in that radical-infested 90s hellscape, rather than this radical-infested 20s hellscape, another weird political pun for you. For pure escapism, it's nice to go back, but maybe that escape is a little hampered by the decade it took to get there. And that's it. Thank you for watching. This one took way too long in both the filming, the scripting, the playing, and the month of nothing in between because life has been very busy. But I appreciate you watching to this part, or someone else telling you about this part, which is a very strange thing for you to know. Either way, if you see what I'm doing right now, you've probably seen a decent chunk of the video. Yeah, this was a code I received on behalf of Activision's PR to play, but I haven't been given any compensation to play it or to review it, as well as you know, no score or thoughts have been affected by that, or at least consciously so. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you, people, for giving me the game, and thank you for watching.